What's going on, everyone? Alan here, aka the Bird Bay, with Elfie, my little Senegal model. So today I wanted to talk about some of the parrot care essentials that I use for Elfie. That, you know, if you're thinking about owning a parrot or already have one and you're not sure if you have everything that you need, basically I just wanted to make this video to cover the essentials of what you're going to need when it comes to really just owning a parrot and making sure that you are properly taking care of your parrot when it comes to the essentials. So I guess first things first, I wanted to talk about what the essentials are when it comes to food. So this is one of the pellet mixes that I use for Elfie. As you guys have probably already know, and if you've seen from my other videos, I highly recommend that you feed your parrot a primarily pellet-based diet in association with veggies and minimal fruit. I usually use fruit for treats, which I'll cover in just a second. But pellets are really going to enable you to make sure that your parrot is getting all of the essentials that it needs when it comes to its health and diet. So the pellets are going to have a lot of different fats, proteins, and carbohydrates that are already mixed into the pellet. So a brand that I recommend is Supreme. If you guys don't know where to get it, you can find it on Amazon. This is a local parrot pellet mix from the local bird store. I looked into the ingredients in advance and made sure that it was good to go. Alfie loves them, so I primarily feed him pellets in the morning with some veggies at some point in the middle of the day, or I give him veggies as treats as well. And then from there, I make sure that before I train him, I go ahead and do the different parrot training. And then for dinner, he'll get another fixed amount of pellets to make sure that he is always responsive and he's eating the amount of food that he needs to maintain his body weight and to also be most responsive to his training. And that brings me into the second point. So if you don't already have one, I recommend that you get a clicker and target stick. And basically, if you don't know what this clicker is, it's used for training in association with the stick, where a parrot targets the stick, touches the stick, you click, and then you give it a treat. So if you guys want to learn more about target training and different aspects of that in another video, feel free to check out the channel. So these are another essential combination that you're going to need here: the targeting stick and the clicker. And you can find this stuff online, and I'm personally just using a chopstick. Aside from that, in terms of treats for training, I use this bowl of treats that I have here already mixed up, but I use a combination of Brazilian nuts, almonds, cashews, and walnuts. Obviously it's running a little low there, so Alfie needs to restock for his training, but that's basically what I use. It's primarily used in terms of the nuts and seeds that I give them as treats for training. The reason why I don't recommend that you give them unlimited access to that is because if your parrot is always eating its treats, it's not going to be motivated to come to you as a reward because it already has a lot of them. And generally the peanuts and the different nuts that you give it are going to be a little bit higher in fat, and that's not good if you're primarily feeding your parrot a fat-based diet. So definitely make sure that you get some raw, unsalted, uncooked, so to speak, or unroasted different nuts or seeds that you can give your parrot as a treat for training. Another essential that I recommend is actually this harness here. It's basically a flight harness that's meant to be able to put over your parrot and make sure that you can take your parrot out with you when you go on adventures or different trips. This one I got on Amazon. And basically the way that it works, it's basically, a harness with an extension, and then on here it basically has a little head loop for your parrot to put its head through, one wing, then the other wing, and then you cinch it up here. And I'm not going to get too much into the details on how exactly to use it. It does require some training and desensitization. God, what's wrong with me today? you got to desensitize your parrot to the harness because you can't just necessarily put it on. It's not natural for parrots to have things on their body, and you can check out one of my other videos on harness training on the channel to figure out how to use it. Aside from that, here's some of the toys that I use for Alfie. He has a separate bowl in his cage where he can have access to his wooden toys. This one's straw, this one's a little ball that we use for fetch, and he can play with. A combination of wooden toys. I have some block toys, shoes, and some other straw toys and rope toys that you can use for your parrot. Alfie personally prefers the wooden toys over a lot of other toys that I've seen, so that's what I just tend to give him, which is super awesome. You always want to make sure that your parrot is mentally stimulated when it's in his cage. It has plenty to do and it's not just bored. When they're bored, this can lead to feather plucking, other behavioral problems, and I'm with Alfie I would say 20 to 18 hours a day because I work from home primarily, so he always has me around, and when he's in his cage, even if I'm around, he's playing with his toys whenever he is looking for something to do. Aside from that, I want to go into next some of the organic stain removers that I use. So this one I got at a local pet store. It's called Cahoots Organic Stain and Odor Remover. Super important because if you don't already know, when parrots eat, they tend to make a mess, and when you give your parrots pellet as a primary source of food, they tend to dip it in water, shake all over the place, and then when this stuff gets soggy and then it dries, it'll stick to the wall and it's really hard to get off. So I use this organic stain remover that's all natural, and it's going to be good for your parrots. If you're using any household and cleaning items, you want to make sure that you use any organic related stuff because chemicals can be extremely harmful to your parrots, and they can get them really sick. So I also make sure that I open the doors and windows whenever I clean my parrot's cage or I'm cleaning around the area, so that regardless, all the odor and all the fumes kind of get out, regardless if it's organic, so just make sure that there's always good circulation when I'm cleaning. Another important thing that I use here is this poop off bird remover. It's a natural enzyme that basically cleans hardened, nasty poop in the cage. If you own a parrot or you're planning to, cleaning the cage is going to be a necessity, and it's not always the prettiest work. Parrots basically poop wherever they want in their cage, as they do in the wild. So, no harm, no foul on that end. I just make sure that I do a deep cleaning once to maybe twice or once every other week sometimes, depending on how dirty it is. So this is something that really will get any poop stain off. You just gotta wet the grate of the cage, spray some on. Now this stuff does smell really, really bad. I don't know why, or I don't know if it's just me because of the enzymes. I personally prefer to use more like organic, soap and a brush and scrub all the poop off. It works pretty well too, but for the hard stuff to get out, I definitely recommend this. And you can buy this on Amazon as well. So this is going to be super important. And then next here I have this odor neutralizer crumpled paper. So this is basically what I use in Alfie's cage in place of newspapers. Obviously the cheapest option is going to be to use recycled newspaper, put it on the cage, but what ends up happening, because I work next to Alfie, it gets super, how can I say it, musty and nasty smelling after 1 or 2 days. With this stuff you can change it out every 10 days, and it has natural I think baking soda in it, which absorbs odors, and it tends to keep the cage and the area around the cage smelling fresh for way longer. So I prefer that because my cage Alfie's cage is literally next to my desk, and this is what I use. It's a little bit it's not going to be on the cheaper side. It just depends on how big of a bird you have. Obviously, if you have a macaw, you're going to be going through this a lot faster. One of these bags lasted Alfie about 2.5 months, so it's not too bad. This is the 20-liter bag that I got from Petco is where I bought it, so you can look that up, or on Amazon. It's called So Fresh. I definitely recommend that if you don't want to be changing your parrot's cage lining on the bottom every other day or every 2 days when it starts to smell. But obviously newspaper is going to be the cheaper option. In addition to this that I use, the crumpled paper for the bed lining for Alfie's cage, I actually also have an air purifier in the spare bedroom where my office is and where Alfie's cage is. That way when he sleeps, it's not all musty. It tends to smell sometimes. It circulates the air and it keeps it fresh. That's something I recommend if you are in the market for it. You know, look up a decent air purifier online or on Amazon. I got mine. I think it was like probably like $100, but definitely worth it because it circulates the air, not just good for your parrot, but also good for you to have fresh air when you are in a separate bedroom. That's going to be super important. And I guess aside from that, the other main thing that I use is Alfie's carrier cage here. So this guy I got on Amazon as well. I don't know what the brand is, if I can see it here. But it's basically a pretty sweet carrier cage. He fits in here, it has a stick, it has a water bowl. You can open the sides for vents and so that your parrot can see you. This part also closes as well. It's got a little pocket for, you know, whatever else you're gonna need for your parrot, a bag for treats, and the brand is actually called Pets Fit. It wasn't that expensive, so if you have a smaller size parrot, it can definitely work. Works great for a Senegal as well. And it's pretty sweet as well because it also has this like nifty backpack so that you can basically take your parrot around with you, even if it's not harness trained, but you just want to take them out, get them outdoors. This is going to be a good option. Like I mentioned, this flap also closes, so this is pretty sweet and a great option as well for your parrots. Now, aside from that, the main thing that I, work with Alfie, or that I do for Alfie in terms of parrot care, is I would say about every 2 to 3 weeks, I use a nail trimmer to trim Alfie's nails. I don't recommend that you just go and try to trim your parrot's nails, especially if you've never done it before. So I personally observed the local bird store and how they trimmed and watched them. That's a great way to learn, to see how you do it. This one's specialized for dog and cat nails, but it works for parrots. Just got to make sure that you're only getting a specific area in the nail. It's usually the very tip to trim the nails so that you don't, cut into any blood vessels, because parrots' nails, especially if they're smaller parrots, are going to be, really hard to see. Usually what I do is I get a towel, flip Alfie on his back, cover 1 foot, and I have somebody else help me with this actually, so I don't actually do it by myself. I have my girlfriend help me. She holds Alfie down, and I just quickly go through and make sure that I'm trimming his nails precisely. So I mean, that's basically it when it comes to parrot care that I can think of the essentials that you're gonna need when you have your parrot. You're gonna have your carrier cage or your carrier backpack, treats. You're going to have your targeting stick, clicker, nail trimmer, a harness, different toys for your parrot, poop stain remover for your parrot's cage, and stain remover in general for stuff that gets all over the wall that's not going to damage the wall, odor neutralizing liner, and that's really it when it comes to Alfie and the essentials that I use for him on a weekly basis. I mean, in addition to that, I guess I also do have a perch that sticks to the wall in the bathroom, and it basically sticks out. I also got it on Amazon. It basically sticks onto the wall with suction cups, and it has a sanded perch that comes out so that when I'm showering I can place Alfie on there and he can also get wet. But that's the majority of what I use for Alfie's parrot care on a weekly basis. Aside from that, that should have you covered, assuming that you also have a perch or a stand for your parrot to play on. But if you have any other questions, or you have a specific area in parrot care that you have a question on, feel free to drop it in the comment section below. Aside from that, don't forget to check out Alfie's Instagram and Alfie and I's Instagram page at The Bird Bay. It's also going to be in the description below. And let me know, what other topics when it comes to parrot care, essentials, training, nutrition, do you want to learn more about? I would be happy to make a video on that. But as of now, this is it for this quick video. Alan and Alfie signing out, and we will see you guys next time.